Hey everyone, welcome to our channel, or welcome back to our channel, whatever fits you. I'm Brian from Exact IT Solutions, and today we're diving into a shocking cybersecurity incident that's recently come to light in the last week, and that is the United States Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, otherwise known or better known as CISA, has recently disclosed that they were a victim of a breach. So let's talk about how CISA found itself victim of a cyber attack, who was behind it, and what the implications are to not only you as a potential business owner, if you're watching this and you own a business, or you as an American citizen. There's some alarming information that's really not being talked about in a lot of the articles that I've been reading. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of what happened in this particular breach with CISA, please remember to like and subscribe to the channel, like this video. It helps other people find this content, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing so. First, I want to educate everyone on who the heck CISA is, because a lot of people might not know what CISA is, what the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency does here in the United States. You might not even know that we have like a cybersecurity wing that's in charge of protecting a lot of critical assets in the government and in private industry against things like cyber threats and cyber criminals. So CISA plays a critical role within the Department of Homeland Security. They typically get involved in investigating cyber intrusions at federal agencies, and they advise private critical infrastructure firms on bolstering their security. They also do that with government entities as well. They kind of provide services on both sides of the fence, right? So if we kind of say everything that you do to protect and get prepared for a potential cyber event happens on the left side of things, or the left side of boom, and then you have your event, and then they also help with things after an event, or the right side of boom. They will help whatever businesses they can, but typically they prioritize critical infrastructure businesses in the private sector over, say, a business that's not in critical infrastructure. Although any business in the United States can go to CISA for help. They provide a lot of services around cybersecurity that you can procure from private companies like mine, but you can also go to CISA, but you have to get in line and you have to wait, and there's no saying that a certain service will be provided to your business. So if you need something, or you want something quicker, or you can't get it at all from CISA, you need to go to private industry and look for a cybersecurity company to achieve what you're trying to achieve. So CISA's mission is crucial for the cybersecurity posture of the United States, especially our government. So let's dive into this hack a little bit. So last month, CISA disclosed that 2 of its internal systems were compromised, and the breach involved vulnerabilities in products by Ivanti, which is a software company. These affected systems were crucial. One facilitates the sharing of cyber and physical security assessment tools across federal, state, and local levels. The other holds sensitive information on the security assessment of chemical facilities. Why is this a big deal? Well, number one, not a lot of articles that I'm reading out there are pointing out the fact that the data that has been stolen at this point, or the data that was stored on these systems and has been accessed by these hackers, and I'll get into who they were in a minute, you have to understand that data and assessments has to be treated at the highest level of security and sensitivity. These are essentially all the things wrong that are in your network, or that are in your computer environment, that somebody could potentially exploit in a hack, or exploit for no good. This is why you run regular assessments, so you can identify these vulnerabilities and start working on remediating them and getting rid of them in your environment. And unfortunately for CISA, the systems that were hacked were chock full of this information across all kinds of governments, from federal to state and local. So you potentially have a foreign country who has infiltrated a US government network and now has a library of information about the other computer networks of other state and local agencies and organizations, and municipal governments and state governments. That is an enormous amount of information that you do not want falling in the hands of your adversaries. It's not good information that I'm delivering here, folks. You want to treat these assessments and the reports and the information in these, like I said, with the highest level of sensitivity and security, because because of the damage that can be done when somebody gets their hands on these. So it's my belief that this hack on CISA is a bigger deal than kind of a press release or a few articles. I think this is going to lead to other state and local governments getting breached by these hackers, or potentially, who knows what's going to happen with this information. We don't know. It's alarming at a minimum, and this could be a major impact on our national security moving forward here in the very near future. So this is the impact to you as a citizen of the United States, that your government, your local government, the governments that you rely on, your states, your courts, they could all end up being victims as a result of the information that was stolen in these attacks. You also have chemical facilities listed here as well. Another system would presume, because they have a system for chemical facilities, is doing a lot of risk assessments for chemical facilities, as I mentioned earlier, some of the services that they will provide to certain industries. And chemical facilities are definitely in that critical infrastructure area that CISA would provide free assessment services to, or government funded assessment services to. And now these criminal hackers have information about the networks, how they're constructed, how they're currently configured. It's bad news all around as a result of this hack. Apparently the vulnerabilities in question here were severe. So severe that CISA actually put out a bulletin telling everybody that they need to update their software if they use Ivanti. They told all government agencies that they must update by a certain date. What's interesting here, and I don't know if it's interesting or irresponsible, but CISA failed to update their system and they failed to follow their own guidance. Ivanti disclosed 2 zero-day vulnerabilities in January, an authentication bypass, and a command injection flaw, allowing for remote code execution. That's just fancy language, meaning that a hacker can write code to basically have God mode control, full control over a computer system. So despite patches being released, the threat actors exploited these vulnerabilities, leading to the compromise of CISA systems. As I said earlier, the patch was released, but it appears CISA either didn't do it in time or didn't do it at all, and unfortunately, they were hacked as a result of it. So the impact to this, I kind of already mentioned a little bit as a national security threat, and that's been highlighted a little bit in some of the articles I read, but not to the extent that I've discussed in this video earlier. And then although CISA stated that there's no operational impact, which is true, the breach raises significant concerns because it highlights the persistent threat of cyber espionage and the challenges of securing critical infrastructure. The compromised systems were running on older technology, already slated for replacement, emphasizing the need for continuous modernization in cybersecurity defenses. That's really not the biggest concern here. I mentioned the biggest concern earlier. Yes, this is a concern for not only our government, but a lot of businesses who are out there today running older technology that is vulnerable, but they may be making business decisions that it doesn't make a lot of sense to deal with a problem or handle an issue, update software, update many servers or computer systems if you're planning on retiring these systems in the near future. Unfortunately, what we see is plans go awry, they don't happen in the timeline that people think, and then you end up in a situation where you just keep running the system and something like this happens. So unfortunately, with cyber defenses and critical vulnerabilities like this one, you need to act quickly and not delay, and not use any excuse to delay patching systems where something like somebody taking over the whole entire system using basically a remote computer. That's not something that you want to be playing with, and you want to get taken care of and patched up very quickly. So let's talk about who are the people who got their hands on this data. And while CISA has not explicitly linked the attack to any specific group, the indications that multiple threat groups, including state-sponsored entities from China, have been exploiting these Ivanti vulnerabilities. In other words, what we know is that when when these hacking groups are out there and you monitor their activity, typically they like to focus on just a few vulnerabilities. And you'll see hacking groups in different areas of the country, or different areas of the world, my apologies, different areas of the world that are targeting very specific vulnerabilities. So, one hacking group is doing this, another hacking group is doing that. And the educated guess here is that we see a lot of activity around these Ivanti systems coming out of China. So it's believed, while there's probably other groups involved, that there is a heavy Chinese backing behind these groups. That being said, because we know that there's potentially other hacking groups involved, we could have other countries involved. And wouldn't it be nice for our adversaries to have all this network information about a lot of our governments and some of our U.S. chemical facilities? It's my belief that not only China is involved, but probably several other countries that we would consider adversaries that are behind this attack. Because we know that there is a group named Magnet Goblin out there who has basically become the go-to experts for exploiting these vulnerabilities. We know that that group is not just made up of Chinese hackers. It's interesting to see where this one will go, folks. But this incident is really what I want to leave you with, is a stark reminder that no organization, not even our federal cybersecurity agency, is immune to hacking. Businesses, business leaders, business owners, if you're watching this video, you should understand that the expectation that you will never be hacked, or the thought that you'll never be hacked, or the thought that you're going to purchase a product, hire a person, a company, or any kind of service and completely protect you is a fallacy. The only thing you can do is mitigate risk and reduce the blast radius should you fall victim to one of these hacks. What this event does underscore for me is the importance of vigilant cybersecurity practices. Our own cybersecurity wing of our federal government failed to follow Cybersecurity 101, which is get your systems patched. And if there are critical vulnerabilities out there, you need to patch the systems as quickly as you can and not mess around with this stuff. Unfortunately, CISA decided to mess around with this stuff. I'll also say that along with having a good cyber plan for things like patching, you also need to work on your incident response plans so you know how to handle a situation properly should you be faced with one. You don't want to be figuring it out for the first time when you're actually dealing with an event. And I only say this because we see so many businesses lately who are struggling when it comes to a cyber attack and getting through that. So as we continue to see the landscape of our critical infrastructure and cybersecurity threats evolve, it's paramount that we understand that cyber resilience is the goal for all organizations. So for more insights into cybersecurity and how to protect yourself, make sure you just subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching. There's tons of links in the description if you need any help with this stuff. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next video.